Melanie said something about a W-2 being here tonight.
Oh, I have them.
Okay, all right.
I just need you, before you leave, just come over and sign and take your W-2. I've got them.
Did Jeanette sign for mine, I guess, then?
Huh?
Did Jeanette sign for
Jeanette
mine?
signed for yours.
Okay.
Big crowd tonight.
Yeah, there's so much on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 2021 meeting of the Greencastle Common Council. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome everyone. For the benefit of those who might be tuning in tonight, we have two of our council members that are online, Veronica and Cody, and the rest are here in person at City Hall. And we have some of our department heads who have zoomed in for the evening. We do not have any public petitions or comments as we have.
Roll call.
I'm sorry?
Roll call.
Oh, sorry. Roll call, sorry, go ahead.
He's taking away my moment here.
Stealing your thunder.
Yep. Counselor Mark Hammer.
Here.
Counselor Adam Cohen.
Go.
Counselor Stacy Langdon.
Here.
Counselor Veronica Pedrell.
Here.
Counselor Cody Eckert.
Here.
Counselor Dave Murray.
Here.
Counselor Jake Widener.
Here.
Sorry about that, I apologize. As I mentioned, we have no public petitions or comments, and we have no special requests this evening. Department reports were included in your packets, and we have the report from the police department was left at your station. Tom was out of the office yesterday, so he brought that by earlier today. And then Rod is here this evening, and he wanted to make a crisp statement.
You've been here long enough to understand why we have to use the word crisp with him.
Okay, Jake. First time I got hired, they said the park board said never pass up an opportunity to promote our program.
That was 3 mayors ago.
Yes. Right. But what I wanted to do tonight was just start with a great big hearty thank you to Kate Nall, Jay Beatel, and the Greencastle Civic League, and everybody who donated that we could put the holiday lights in the park. The festival lights was absolutely beautiful. It was really sad when we had to take them down. And then I just want to remind everybody that we are offering some programs to small crowds right now. We're partnering with the Putnam County Museum. Please check out our website at www.greencastleparks.com where you can register for those programs. And then come out on Saturday to see us at the museum. We're still running trains with Pacific and Eastern Model Railroad. All right, any questions?
Rod, will they, I assume they will continue to do the lights every Christmas as long as it's well received and...
In our preliminary meeting, we have set the 2021 festival dates from Friday, December 3rd to January 6th, 2022. Yes.
Great.
Okay? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Rod.
Thank you, Rod.
We do have a number of other department heads online, so if anybody has a question, they can be asked, and we'll see who's online, because people have called in, and sometimes the phone number doesn't come up as a person, so just the number. Any questions on any reports or anything? And if there's any follow-up questions after the meeting, you're always welcome to chat with any of our department heads. Okay. Department heads, if you want, it doesn't appear there's any questions this evening. If you want to stay with us during the meeting, that's fine. Or if you want to enjoy the rest of the evening with your family, that's fine as well. Reports, just a couple things. Board of Works approved our contract with the state of Indiana yesterday for our Community Crossings Award of $761,000. I would remind people that even though vaccinations have started, it's important for folks to continue to wear masks and practice good social distancing and hygiene as we continue to deal with the COVID situation. Our offices here at City Hall do remain closed. However, we do accommodate folks with appointments, and utility customers are able to pay by mail, online, or the drive-up window continues to remain open. We are looking at applying for a third round of funding to help our small business community. We're partnering with the county on that and the Greencastle Schools. We are working also with the Chamber and the Development Center. They are contacting some of our small businesses for applications, and we will apply. If we're funded, we will have some grant money available for some of our smaller businesses that have been adversely impacted by the pandemic. And I say that's a big if because it is a competitive grant program. I'd like to thank our staff again for dealing with all the fun that we deal with on a day-to-day basis with COVID. And I saw our fire department the other day. They were pulling up for a run and donning all their protective gear before rendering assistance to one of our citizens. You received the DePaul parking study. If anybody has any questions on that, I'd be happy to have Rob Harper attend our February meeting to answer any, or if it's something small, you're welcome to give him a call ahead of time. The strategic planning process over at DePaul is well underway, and the reports that are being prepared will be presented to the Board of Trustees at their February meeting. YMCA project, we continue to work on that. Ice Miller is reviewing some language for us, and we continue to work with the consultant on some language relative to the naming rights, should we be so lucky as to receive some larger donations for the project. But there'll be a sort of a range of opportunities even for smaller groups and community organizations should they wish to support the project. Pool improvements are underway, getting ready for spring. We're hoping we'll have a full year for the pool. Big Walnut, the work out there is kind of in a holding pattern. We are rebidding the dugout work so that can be ready for the start of the baseball season. Other than that, we are starting to tee up projects for the coming season, so probably in February we'll be reporting out on sidewalk projects and things like that. Brad's working on his sidewalk repair list. Our 3 road projects will be Round Barn Road, Tennessee Street, and Wood Street, but then we'll see if we've got some additional money to maybe do some street resurfacing. And we've got that list prepared, but haven't gone through the budget stuff yet. So. And several other things.
I have a question, Mayor, if you would, regarding the process to bid for projects such as the dugouts, just for the benefit of the public. Could you kind of walk through how we as a city approach those, and if there's a local focus that we take in trying to find organizations and contractors that are local versus outside of the city or outside of the county to do those projects?
Yes, we do try to encourage local people to bid. For example, Spiker is working on about a $400,000 project at our wastewater treatment plant for the phosphorus removal building and garage there. And, obviously he's a local contractor. By statute, we have to follow state law and advertising, but we usually go beyond that and make contact with local contractors to let them know that the project is available. So for example, the dugout, we had some people bid it last time. When the bids came in a little high, we contacted those vendors again, and most of those were local. There's also, and if Lori were here, she could explain this better than I, but there's also, above a certain dollar amount, the contractor has to be certified by the Department of Administration.
I am here,
right.
and the dollar amount is $300,000.
Yeah.
And it's a fairly lengthy process, so a lot of our local folks, most of our local folks are not on that list. When we have our contractor meetings to discuss projects, and we've done this in the past, I have made sure to let them know that if they want to bid on the bigger projects, that they would have to be pre-qualified for on that list.
Lori?
Yes.
Just so we can clarify, and I think the mayor did a nice job, but I think what we're getting at is, even though even for the smaller projects, when we advertise, we try to get the local people to bid, but we're bound by certain state statute in that we have to go with the lowest bids often, correct?
If I heard you correctly, we have to go with low bid? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Well, we have to follow the state statutes, yes, if I heard you. And yes, you have to go with the lowest and best, or most responsive and responsible bidder. So the answer is not always, but generally speaking, yes, unless you have very good reason why that person would be disqualified, or that company would be disqualified. And you should have that well documented.
I guess what I was getting at is,
rarely does that happen, because most folks who have had bad experiences with municipal government projects don't bid on our projects again.
well, I guess what I was getting at is often our hands are tied in awarding a contract to a local bidder by state law.
Where the local contractors come in sometimes is a subcontractor.
Yeah,
There's somebody that's got the whole
That's right.
project.
Most of the time, if they can't be on the list for the, like for instance, some of our folks, I don't know, with some big highway projects, I'm not sure we have any local contractors who could do some of those. But they definitely could do some of the subcontract work, and definitely then those big contractors reach out to our local businesses, and we encourage that and write that in to specifications. So
The development center also has a list of local contractors and suppliers that we supply those to. I mean, we can't recommend one local subcontractor or supplier over another, but we supply that list to them. So, for example, like Zinc Mill Road, my guess is probably Cash Concrete supplied a lot of the concrete for that. Wabash Valley Asphalt down in Cloverdale supplied some of the asphalt for that. So there is local participation in some way. The other thing we sometimes run into is for certain projects we require bonding, and some of our local contractors don't want to do bonds. And they can also put up a cash bond other than a regular bond, but some of them just don't want to mess with that.
and again, that's statutory.
Yeah.
When bonds are, sometimes they are required. It just depends on the dollar value, and if it's it would only be on public works contracts, but public purchasing is somewhat complicated because you have different categories, and then you have rules for different dollar figures within those categories. But I'd be happy to sit down with anyone who wants to go into more detail with over any of those.
Might also be a good question to direct at our state representatives, because most of those laws are coming at us via state law. The city law.
One of the things that's being discussed, it's my understanding, at the state level, and I don't know whether that's happening this year too, but it has been coming up. There are two sets of, this is probably kind of boring, but there are two sets of statutes. There are the public purchasing ones under Indiana Code 5-22, and then there are the ones under the cities and towns, which are under Indiana Code 36. And so it becomes somewhat confusing because people have to be familiar with both of those different, very, very different titles and in very different parts of the Indiana Code. And sometimes they are consistent and sometimes they're not. I've studied them for a long time. And so and so there's some movement to bring those two into the same title, which would be really beneficial and helpful for folks, make things a lot clearer. And then there are random, strange things that are buried in various other titles. So
This is, what Lori just explained is exactly why it's been beneficial to have a full-time city attorney to help work our way through all this stuff. As you can see, it's not the easiest. You know, the private sector has a lot more flexibility than we do. We do reach out to local contractors to try to encourage them to bid on things or to participate as subcontractors. You know, sometimes people are interested. Sometimes they're just so busy they aren't interested because they've got other work to do that doesn't involve dealing with the government. And then sometimes we just don't have the local expertise. For example, we really don't have any local road pavers here other than Wabash Valley Asphalt, and they're really a regional company that covers west central Indiana. But we do try to reach out as much as we can and also make them aware of local suppliers. Everything from porta potties to concrete to supplies through Black Lumber or our local hardware stores or things like that.
But we always, you know, if it hits a certain, we follow all of it. Most of the cases for the big items, we publicize it in the newspaper and we send out quotes, and it's a very public purchasing process. So.
And then statute requires that it be, when we do have to advertise for bid, there's a certain timeline that we have to follow as well so that people have adequate notice and time to prepare a bid.
Yeah, that all depends on the type of item you're buying, if it's public works or not, what the dollar figure is, all those things. It all depends on what it is.
Yeah.
But almost every time we get local folks, unless they are really large projects, and then we almost always get a lot of local subcontractors.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Clear as mud.
Thank you.
Long answer, short question, sorry.
But I will tell you, that is what Lori just explained. That is why it is so beneficial that we have her on board as a full-time city attorney, because she keeps us on the straight and narrow when we're doing these kind of projects and making major purchases.
I've made a cheat sheet for all the department heads and said, but consult me if you have any, questions. And it's not a cheat sheet; it's a long document with several pages. But it's a guide for them to use, so they know when they have to get quotes, when they have to get bids, when it's a formal bid process, when you can do requests for quotes, requests for qualifications, RFPs, RFQs, blah blah blah.
Lori, would you mind sharing that document with council?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Billy, Columbia Street lot, the new one, I understand we finally have some plans and it's going to tech review, is that right?
I'm sorry, for what?
The Columbia Street lot?
Oh,
we finally have plans and it's going to tech review?
Yeah, they're finishing up some plans for us to take a look at and share with the, we've had some conversations with the neighboring property owner. And we need to, once we get those, we'll take them to the neighboring property owner, see if they want to do a joint venture with us.
When will that happen?
Hopefully soon. I talked to Jessica the other day and she said they were pretty close.
Bill? I was going to ask this in the council report, but I'll just ask you now. Could you explain, so we are Zooming, and we're still broadcasting on Channel 3.
Yeah.
So a local resident who wants to watch our meetings, I've got asked this the other day, and I got stumbled. They can watch on Channel 3.
Yep.
We do not have a YouTube channel.
We are on YouTube.
Now that's not live, or that is live?
I believe it's live. If Greg can come up, and we've been experimenting it for with the last.
Here, I'm sorry.
Greg's in the basement.
He's in the basement.
He's in the vault.
But we've been experimenting over the last several meetings, and I think it's good enough that we can make it public. So we are available.
Greg's on
Hey,
his way.
Greg.
He's coming up.
Sorry, Greg.
Put you on the spot.
Are we live on our YouTube channel?
I keep getting asked how people can watch us, and I'm getting stumbled and confused.
We are live on YouTube. We stream live as the meeting happens, and it's archived on the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel address is on Channel 3. I'll email it to all of you.
That'd be great.
What the name of the channel is, rather than give you a link, because then they just go in and search for that channel. and then they'll find all the archive videos, and then when there's a live feed on, it'll indicate there's a live feed. You just click on that and you can watch it live.
That'd be super helpful for our cord cutters.
For people who don't take cable anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we did it.
Linda, would it be possible to put that as a note inside the, I know in our water bills, we're able to put little taglines.
Yeah,
Yep, we can put
that
it
in,
there.
yeah.
We can-
Well, the reason I was thinking about
look
all
at it,
this
Jimmy.
was I read an article in the Banner about one of our sister cities going through some debate about transparency and how do people find out. I know in today's world, I mean, as a coach and a recruiter, I have no idea how to get in touch with high school kids anymore. So if we can maybe put that in, that might...
Sure.
Can we also put it on our Facebook page? I know local
Yeah,
churches, that's how they link in, yeah.
We've been, like I said, we've been kind of experimenting the last several months, and now that I
The
think
plus about YouTube is, and you can do it on Facebook too, but I'm not sure if it does it for all entries, unless you have to specifically say every time you put a link in there, remove the comment section. There's a legalities concerning comments.
Right.
On the YouTube channel, I set it so that no YouTube videos from the city have a comment section.
I don't think she was saying put the link, put the actual video up, just announce it.
yeah, we'll do
we'll
an
link out there.
announcement. We'll do an
If you put a
announcement.
link, stick to the YouTube. I'm not sure about if the Facebook allows you to comment on that video. I think it does, and that's problematic.
Okay.
You have to set that link and say no comments.
Right, yeah.
We don't want comments.
But that's with your Facebook person.
Facebook's a little clunky right now, so,
That's fine. I think if we just put it in the water bills,
Yeah, we
maybe
can do
it gets
that.
mentioned in the paper, I think.
Everybody gets one of those.
Everybody does get
Send you
one.
that information tomorrow, Linda.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I'll wait till you go downstairs and then
Then
I'll...
we'll call you back up.
Too late.
So we could actually watch ourselves on our phones while we're doing the
Can with
meeting.
a slight delay. If you went to the YouTube channel right now,
I just opened it in a browser tab, and I can confirm.
yeah, if you subscribe to it,
Right.
whoever uses it, once you subscribe to it in YouTube, you don't have to hunt for it anymore. It
Right.
comes up as I've subscribed to this, and then you just click on that link when we're showing live, or archive, like I said.
and we still run repeats of the council meeting on our cable access channel.
Yes, and we go live on them.
Thank you.
Some are reruns.
Okay, I will turn the floor over to Linda.
If you notice at your table, you'll have your conflict of interest forms. If you can just fill those out. If you don't have any conflicts, if you'll just put your name on them and put no conflicts and turn it back in to me.
Do we
that'd be
sign the
great.
last page, Linda, or not?
Yes, please.
Even if we have no conflicts?
Yeah, just go ahead. That way we're covered and you have at least, I know that you saw it and you signed and you're verifying that you have no conflicts, okay?
Signing away.
I have we have distributed all the W-2s in the city, and I have yours here, so you can get after the meeting. We are working on all of our end-of-the-year reports for the state. We've actually started submitting a few of those. We did get our budget information back from the state of Indiana. It was a couple weeks later than expected, but we are getting all of our taxpayer dollars, all but $700, and that's because of rounding. So, we did good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good, so we're getting that.
Not pretty good, very good.
We may have to come back to you guys and ask for some additional appropriations from what we originally put in, but we'll kind of play that by ear, because I should have sent a resolution out when we asked to cut the budget, which I didn't do last year, so they took those away, but we can get them back, so we just may have to do an extra step here, but, so that may be coming down the road, but we'll get through that, so. That's about it, end of the year.
Linda, we got our fall distribution. Did it come before the end of the year? Were we able to,
Our fall distribution
of
did
property
come
taxes?
did not come at no, it came at, it may have come, see, I was on vacation, so it might have come on the 29th.
But I had another.
Or the 20
Somebody
I
else
mean-
told me that it was mailed, the checks were dated really late in December, and they didn't get them.
Right,
till
we
the first
did,
of the year.
in fact, before I left on vacation, I called up to the city and they said it would be coming out. So it might, I haven't checked the details, it's been put in, but It may have been deposited in the bank, but our paperwork has 2 different dates. Because we now have them direct deposit all of our stuff. So sometimes it's a couple of days.
Does that, if it's overlaps December into January, does that create any kind of issue with?
They deposited in 2020.
Good.
So
Okay.
we will be good with that.
Perfect. All right.
I do know it was, I'm almost 100% sure they deposited like the 29th,
Okay.
30th,
Okay,
something
good.
like that. So they got it in just in time.
Okay.
But my paperwork that I got, I know we didn't get till January.
Okay. Was it similar, was it what you expected as far as hoped for, or
Yeah, I think it was pretty
pretty
close.
reasonable? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So I can't tell you what the property cap loss was, but I'll know here. I'll start on that report with the annual report here pretty soon, so I will know specifics. So go from there. That's all I have.
Any other questions for Linda? Okay, hearing none, we'll just kind of go around the table. Mark?
I think of things, and, while during the month, and I think I should make sure I comment on that. I need to write it down because I forget what they are, so I don't have anything. Stacy will remind me of what I should have. No.
I have nothing.
I've got a little public service announcement I'd like to put out there for the public's good. The very interesting article in the Indy Star on Sunday on the stats for Indiana residents age 60 and older account for only 22.5% of the state's population, but 64.1% of all COVID-19 hospitalizations and 93.3% of deaths. You had to be 80 or older. At 9 a.m. on Wednesday, they dropped that to 70, and hopefully soon thereafter they'll drop it to 60. My understanding is that teachers and clergy are going to be coming up in the next round. So if you're out there and you're 70 or older, you go to Indiana Department of Health website, and they have a map of the hospitals in the state of Indiana. And Sue and I are set up for Monday. We did this weekend.
Now, Dave, you're not over 70.
I am. And we'll be going to Riley Hospital because we could get in there far sooner than we could some other locations in central Indiana. So Indiana Department of Health website, and there's a spot there on the COVID stuff, and it says schedule an appointment. And you can kind of look through to see who has availability and who doesn't and what dates and all of that.
I think you can also call 211, but I think it's probably pretty hard to get through on that.
I would guess.
Yeah.
It's crashed a couple times, too.
Yeah. I would imagine your probably most effective way to get through on the website is to do it at odd hours. What was your experience? Was it easy?
They have a little chart, in fact, of traffic, and during the day, midday, it peaks, and by the time you get to 9 o'clock at night, the traffic is way down. So you may have to wait still there. I signed myself up and then Sue, and one of the wait times was an hour and 22 minutes. 122 minutes, excuse me, over 2 hours. But it moves a lot faster than that. All of a sudden it goes from 10 to 6 to 4, it's hopping around. So people have to be a little bit patient with it. But obviously we'd like to see people get protected.
How quickly were you able to get in?
I called on Saturday, and we're in next Monday on MLK Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I know I've talked to somebody they're waiting until like February 13th to get their shot, and they're over 70.
Depends
When
where
Morris,
you're
who's
going.
on RDC, she was booked in at Danville. February 2nd was as soon as she could get in there, but she's going to be in there this weekend at Riley.
Oh, okay.
So you kind of have to look around and see how far you're willing
Be willing to drive a little bit.
And if it says, if it doesn't say schedule an appointment, it means you can't do it at that site, which was my experience with Putnam County Hospital on Saturday. They weren't taking any more bookings, so.
Actually, to tag on to Dave, the Indiana Department of Health's COVID site, I think, is fantastic.
Yep.
I know I was just critical a minute ago of the state on other rules, but their website is easy to navigate. It has the daily updates. You can see how many vaccines have been delivered. You can see the stats for Putnam County, which aren't very good, but you can see them. You can you can find a place to be tested. And right now, I've never seen more than a 24-hour delay in getting tested. If you want to be tested, all the sites that are up there for free. The website, I know that doesn't help some of our older citizens, but the website is first rate. The information they're providing, the data is really good.
Well, I tip my hat to Governor Holcomb, because in light of those kinds of statistics, he's going about it the right way. In Florida, where my wife is visiting her mom right now, it's a free-for-all.
Yeah.
You just have to keep shooting at it and hope you get in somewhere. To take the older population in light of these kinds of statistics seems to make sense to me. So I tip my hat to him. Lori, can you hear me?
Yeah, Lori's still on.
Lori, are you there?
Yes, yes, but can you hear me now?
Yep, gotcha. We kind of tabled the parking spaces on Washington Street by ONB, by the bank. And I'd like to have you bring the parking ordinance back next month for consideration by the council to take out those parking spots that are right there. We've had one person get hit trying to make their way across Washington Street, between ONB and Starbucks. And people sit there and wait for somebody to turn left, and then the light changes, the trucks are going through there. So I'd like to do that. And I guess I would invite the public or the council, if you have any other things that you'd like us to consider, to get to Lori with that, sometime by around the 1st of February, so she can incorporate that in what we will consider.
Yeah, we've got a couple other changes we're going to add to that.
Okay.
One at the corner of Walnut and Vine, the handicap space is right at the corner. The fire department would like us to pull that back a little bit to give them a little more turning radius. And the other thing we talked about was flipping the parking in the block between Indiana and Jackson from the north side of the street to the south side of the street, because we can get twice as many spaces along there and add 3 or 4 to the downtown inventory.
Terrific.
So.
I think there was also some talk of spot right on the corner across the street from where Dave's talking about, but on the corner across from the bank where Books Plus used to be.
Oh, yeah, we also have a request in front of Wilson's there.
Because it's really hard, a visibility issue.
Yeah, for a while there was somebody in a van that was like parking there every day, and it was causing sight distance issues. I haven't heard any complaints recently, but that was another one that was on the list as well.
If there are cars all along that side, including that last space, and you're trying to come from Mark's office to go and turn left onto Washington Street with cars, it's really hard to see. So I think that's a great idea. The only other thing
Got it.
I wanted to ask about wayfinding signage. Do we have any in hand yet?
I'm sorry?
Wayfinding signage?
Wayfinding, I talked to the folks earlier this week, and we're scheduled sometime later this month to get the local signs put up. And we have submitted all of our paperwork to INDOT for the signs that are along the INDOT routes. So that'll take a little bit to get the contract through, but we've gotten kind of a verbal okay that everything is good, but they wanted a whole bunch of stuff to be part of the paperwork, and their online permitting system is not exactly set up for this kind of project, so we had to submit some supplementary information.
If they're going to go up quickly and soon, my thought was maybe you bring one of those signs in here so the public can begin to see what's going to go up, but if that's going to happen really soon.
They're just going to go up, I mean, because part of the contract calls for them to install them, so they're coming from Michigan, and
okay.
They'll come in and probably put them up in a day. All the foundations have been installed already, so they're good to go. Not except for the ones along the INDOT routes, but.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, I know that years ago we talked about wayfinding, and I don't think it was necessarily the term then, but we were told by the state that we couldn't do it on the INDOT, and so I don't know what's happened over that 15 years or whatever.
There have been some pioneering communities that have gone before us, and actually probably about 20 years ago, Michigan City, when they built the outlet mall up there, was one of the first communities in the state that did a wayfinding program along with INDOT. And then since then, we're probably I think we're the third community in the Crawfordsville district to do this, so it's still a little bit of a learning curve on their part. Avon and Plainfield have done theirs. I think Brownsburg may also be ahead of us, but Plainfield, I think, was the first, and then NDOT has had a lot of requests from communities statewide, so they've kind of come up with a way to do it, but it's kind of a custom thing per community, because it involves a contract, and we have to sign a contract and stuff like that, that we're responsible for maintenance of the signs and things, which, we would have to be anyway.
Sure.
But
Okay. I just wondered because...
The issue, Mark, was only on 231. It was, and I can't remember the term, but it had a special term. It was under the Beautification Act, Lady Bird Johnson's Beautification Act of, I can't remember the year, but...
you weren't born yet.
That was the only road that was the one that was restricted.
Right. And I remember specifically being told that we couldn't do it, and it wasn't probably 6 months later, Plainfield had their signs up, and we go, what the... what's going on, So I'm glad that we're able to do it.
And actually,
not on 231.
gave us some good suggestions as we went through the process. They had some ideas for us. Now, there was also some things that they wanted done in a certain way, and so they keep, from an outsider looking in, it's a bit of an evolving process on their part as more communities undertake these kinds of projects.
Good.
Mark, I didn't understand it either, because you could go all up and down 231 and see signage. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So the main thing is we're getting it, and it's maybe 20 years later or 15 years later, but we're getting it.
Yeah.
So.
Jake,
Yes.
That's it.
or do you have anything else, Dave?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
I think this is more of a reflection than a report here that I'm going to share, but if I could just take a moment. Adam, I want to thank you for bringing up the issue of sort of transparency and access to local government earlier. I think that's very important, and as a first time, as kind of the newest city councilor, and this being the first time that I'll be going through a process where we're appointing to all these boards and commissions, I just want to reflect on, how shocking it was for me to realize who we have and who we don't have as potential considerations for these boards and commissions. So, I want us seriously as a council and as a city to ask ourselves not necessarily what's the status quo, what do we have to do statutorily, but what can we do better to get a list of community members so we can consider for these positions, because it was really hard for me to just look at who we don't have, frankly. And this status quo mentality, I think, is one that I'd like to challenge and ask, and even tonight I'd like to ask, what has been done in the past to reach out to the community? And are we doing enough to actually reach out and engage the community? And then also just state for anybody that does listen to this, I am more than happy to meet with anybody that's interested in getting involved in local government and getting plugged in. There are opportunities, and I want you to know they do exist. And there are ways to get involved. They may not seem that way, but there are. So I do want to, that's more of a reflection than a report, but what can we do better as a city, as a council, to promote these positions and not rely on the same status quo, the same people all of the time? I don't know if there's any comments or
I have a few.
reflection on that, but that comes from the heart. That comes from me sort of not even having gone through this process yet here, but I did want to state that before going through the process, because that has been on my heart and mind the past week or two that I've been looking at this appointment list. So,
I mean, you're reflecting a bigger problem that the council has wrestled with, in that in today's world, I don't know how we get a message out anymore. I don't want to date myself, I won't throw Dave under the bus, he's already admitted his age. But, I mean this sincerely, I mean, the newspaper was our primary way of getting word out. Everybody read the newspaper. And then for a while, everybody at least read the newspaper's website. And then for a little bit, everybody read Facebook. I remember Steve Fields posted some stuff to Facebook, and we got more responses to that than we did to anything else. I forget what the issue was at the time. I'm looking, I don't remember. But I have no idea how we get the word into the community. I know that Stacy and I did the, what do you call those, the community forums?
Community conversation.
Yeah, where we specifically talked about asking young people to step up and encouraging people to step up. I know we reached out to the NAACP, the League of Women Voters, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party. The larger issue is how do we get the word out about what we're doing here. Look at the water rate thing. We had virtually nobody here for that. Now, I'm not saying that's bad or good, but you would have thought that somebody would have been here, but they weren't. I alluded earlier to what I read in the paper. It was actually the city of Fillmore is looking at putting announcements, putting a sheet into their water bills every month. I don't even know what that would cost. I don't know if Fillmore's going to do it, but Fillmore just had this debate. I don't know anymore how you reach a community, you know.
And Adam, you know, the Human Relations Commission is a good example. It was a brand new board. We asked repeatedly, month after month, at our council meetings. We called different organizations, all sorts of organizations. We put it in the newspaper. We had articles. So, and we still had to really ask people, please be on this commission.
No, we basically twisted some people's arms very hard at the end. So, you're right, we have to do something different, but I think it's larger than just the appointments. I mean, maybe it's time we say next year we put every appointment out there and let them all go through the school board thing. But I guarantee you at the end of the day, we'll be begging people to apply. The BZA, it's like poison. No one wants to be on the BZA.
Don't say that. We're trying to recruit people to serve on that board.
I love those people. But I mean, I remember when I was president calling, I think the one person who's finally going off, and I felt like I was on my knees. You know.
Well, I think we have responsibilities because we know what's going on and we're around this all the time. I talked to the mayor today about two people who are possibilities for BZA.
Good.
And for a lot of reasons, they make a lot of sense to me.
I mean,
Stacy and I talked about someone the other day, and she said, I don't know whether that person's an R or a D, and I said, I don't either, I don't care. She said, I don't care. The idea is to find good people who we can persuade to bring their talents to City Hall and do some of the things that we need to have done here.
I mean, I've been thinking of maybe, I've gone so far as thinking in my head that maybe this summer I would go door to door in a non-campaign year and literally hang a hanger with, I'll create an email that's not city-based, but like Adam City Council, I don't know what I'll call it, and encourage people to sign up for an email where I can just send out weekly updates or monthly updates. I don't know anymore what the answer is. And I work in this field with, you know, communications and athletics. And I'm sure you go through some of this at Ivy Tech. I cannot tell you. People don't open emails. People don't open things.
I'm sorry, Adam. One of the things that's come up because of all of this is maybe we should, on our website, maybe, like, since most of the appointments come up at the beginning of the year, maybe we should, maybe by October or November, we should know which ones are coming up. And now, obviously, people quit at the last minute and things like that. Things happen. But at least publicize them and put them on our webpage like we do our job openings. And so, and have them contact Linda Huber at the main desk, because that's what they do anyway, when folks are interested. And have a process like that.
That's probably a good idea with the description. I know I was on a call about a month ago with the NAACP, and they were asking about different committees and stuff, and I was getting confused. So maybe a short description.
Yeah, we can do that.
Maybe a couple of us could just talk informally about how we can best.
Because I agree, there's definite room for improvement, and it makes us know and reach out to folks ahead of time to even know if they're still interested in serving, and know all that ahead of time, well in advance. I think it would be a good idea.
Well, we probably owe them the courtesy of asking them too, which I know we do, but late in the game. But maybe we just need to sit down or brainstorm one night at a council meeting a little bit about how we can best get through the noise.
Yeah.
Well,
I spent some time, calling different groups and talking to people, and I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple, but like, for example, I reached out to the leadership class that you were in. Most of the people in the leadership class don't live in the city limits, and one of them was you that live in the city, and the other was Paul Judell, and he's pretty active in some other things around town, so it's also kind of managing how, knowing how busy other people are too, and I'm sure we'll be able to recruit Paul for a future adventure as he rotates through some of his community activities that he's involved in, and so there are some limitations, like for example, I know there's a lot of good people that would love to serve on our boards, but they don't live in the city limits, and in some cases by statute we can't appoint them to a city board.
Maybe we have to look at things. I know one of my swimmers is working this month of January on creating some Instagram to help businesses advertise into the DePaul student body.
Yeah.
Because that, as you know, we're on that other committee. We're trying to look at that.
I mean, certainly we can always do a better job of it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But a lot of the work goes on behind the scenes. Some of our department heads make phone calls, recruiting people and things like that.
and
do we treat everyone like the school board or do a full? I don't know.
Well, I bring it up, and where I've
fair question.
Where I've found success, and I think it does take each and every one of us as a counselor to, build relationships. Maybe it's one person, even one person a year that you really invite to a council meeting, and because I think it is tough for a lot of the folks on the outside, as Dave mentioned, to process what we do here. I think it's important for them to see it a little bit and get comfortable with it. So the relationship side of it's very important, and then I guess another reason why I bring this up too, and I don't like to bring things up without solutions, but I think the solution is just what I stated. Us making an effort to bring people into these meetings, and that is that how am I supposed to vote for somebody on a board or commission that I've never heard of, never met, I don't know their background? And again, this is maybe just a general question, but are there ways of the past where, I know there was a bio that was sent out today about somebody that we're considering. Do the people that we consider have to submit a bio? Do they have to come to the meeting? I mean, how am I supposed to vote for somebody so blindly and not know who they are?
It's been city tradition even long before I became mayor if there is an incumbent, to ask them if they would like to continue service. So, some of the people that are on the list have been in that position for a while, and they've asked, or we've asked them, would you be interested in continuing to serve? And they've graciously said yes. Others, for example, said, I'll serve another year, but then I'd like to graduate off, so their opening will come up next year, for example. So it just depends on, folks but it has been city tradition, both the council and previous mayors, to ask people if they're an incumbent, if they would continue to serve the community.
Okay. Well, you're saying, I'm not saying I disagree. The question is, do we want to open these up to full reappointments? Mark and I were talking, and Mark predates me, we've only actually removed one person that I can remember. Now, Mark, you go before.
I couldn't remember anybody either, so.
I can think of some more actually, but I'm not going to say who.
Well, I mean, there's no point in saying
No, we
it.
don't need to say who.
I can just remember the one we removed, you know, and I think it was for cause. We tried to handle it. He was hurt, but I think we handled it as best we could at that moment.
Well, for what it's worth, it's just a challenge that I accept publicly here. Anybody that's interested, please. All of our contact information is on the website, and I guess it's a challenge for all of us on the council to try and think of ways that we can engage with our constituents more and see who we can loop into this system. So that's a challenge that I would present.
Maybe we can share how we do it so we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
And I will frankly gladly accept nominations from city council for appointments that I'm responsible for making, because just like a member of city council, I'm always looking for good people, and you may know somebody that I don't know that would be a good candidate to serve on one of our boards, so I will gladly accept ideas from members of council.
Especially BZA.
Yeah, especially BZA, yeah.
And we should point out that while most of Dave's correct, we don't really care about DNR. We do have a few appointments
Have to be.
that have to be DNR. Park Board.
Park and Plan Commission have to be balanced by state statute. That's above our pay grade.
Now, one thing about BZA, I do want to say it would be really nice, and it's very important because it's a fairly you have to do your homework, and it involves a lot of understanding of state statute and city ordinance, and it's a pretty thick ordinance you have to know and understand, and you have to make unpopular decisions sometimes when you're telling people how that they can't use their property a certain way. So it's very important that we attract people who are not afraid to say no, and who also are very much rule follower, are willing to follow the statute and ordinances. It's not whether you like a petition, it's whether it follows and meets the guidelines and the rules. So that's what we're looking for.
But in fairness, we don't scare people off, Lori. I mean, I've not done BZA, but I've done the hearings on condemned houses. You and the city planner, you are very good at helping talk us through the legalities of what we're doing. So people shouldn't be terrified.
Well, yeah, of course, but yeah, you just have to not be afraid to say no.
I think one other thing that may scare people off a little bit, because they don't understand the nature of governance in a small community. And we have been incredibly bipartisan. You know, if I wasn't involved, I might not know whether that person got elected as a Republican or a Democrat. When you look at the state and federal levels, highly partisan politics. And that kind of hangs over some people. Why in the world would I ever get involved in politics? Well, it's very different at this level than it is at those levels. And that's a part of the sell too, is that, look, we're all in this together.
And it's really not politics.
It's really, it's serving your community.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, we could say what we do is politics, but our committees, by and large, I don't think you have to look at them as political.
Right.
No.
Even the two that have to be balanced, we're not talking politics there. We're just saying we've got to have so many R's and so many D's. But you check the politics at the door, or and we do here in our.
We've done very well
meetings.
here at council, but I think when I've talked to people about serving, they say, well, I don't want to get involved in politics. They say, you're not getting involved in politics.
If you have good people and you do your homework, a lot of these decisions are really obvious, you know?
Jake, are you complete?
Just really quick, kind of more of a yes or no type question. Would the city, or has the city ever done like a unpaid summer internship type program? I'm curious if we've ever had something like that.
The Bonner Scholars.
We've had Bonner Scholars.
Okay.
Well, I've had We've had the
Winter
ball
term.
students here in the summer.
Do we still have Bonners coming in here? I know that,
Not this year, but we've had in the past.
But he's talking about in the summer, and yes, we have had students.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
we've
have
students here.
had, I can think of a couple of DePaul students that have been here.
Rod, do you
Summer.
have a Bonner Scholar now?
At this very time, no, but, you know, give me middle of February, I'll probably have 3 of them.
Okay.
And last semester, I had 3.5.
We've also had some students here from Ball State,
midget on the
the city planning office. We've had some students here from Ball State and the city planning office.
Lori's used Bonners.
I'll take one, Jake.
Yeah, I'm just wondering too if any, students that, live or reside in Greencastle or Putnam County that are coming back from school as well, it may be interesting. So that was just a yes or no question, but I
know we've had several Ball State students.
okay.
And we've had quite a few in winter term, too.
Right, well, he's talking about the kids that go off to college and come back.
Okay.
To get more youth sort of tapped in, if that's something.
If they have a lifeguarding certification and stuff like that, we've hired college kids to run the pool, manage the pool and stuff like that. And
That'll be paid. That won't be unpaid. That'll be
And
paid.
that's a paid.
We have had, and the short answer to your question is, I can think of several Ball State students who have interest in city planning, city government. We haven't had one in a couple of years that have interned here in the summer in different capacities. So it's been a few years, but yes.
And typically, they have specific projects they can work on to help us. Yeah.
Okay, Adam?
I got really nothing other than my team is practicing. DePaul played an athletic event the other day.
All right.
It was, we're not going to be able to have fans, but we'll have more students back in the spring. And I echo what Dave said about following what's going on with COVID, get a vaccine, and look at the Indiana website. It is really well done.
Okay, Cody, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
No update from me, other than the fact that I love still with these Zoom meetings that I can choke on my water and hack up a lung and none of you can hear it. So I was just grateful for that 5 minutes ago. Glad that I get the chance to finally prove to you that I'm still alive right now. So yeah, I'll kick it over to Veronica.
Okay, Veronica, do you want to say anything about the homeless session last night?
The League of Women Voters hosted a session with Beyond Homeless, which provided a great opportunity for the community to learn more about what the organization is doing in our community and the ways, particularly that people right now who are struggling with rent. Who need rent assistance and such are all team players and working together to ensure that our community gets through this together. That's about all I've got to share about it right now. I believe that the session was recorded and should be streamed in the usual places. Dave stole my thunder on COVID. The only thing I would add to his remarks, which were quite thorough, is the shortcut for the COVID vaccination appointment website is ourshot.in.gov. And that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you both.
Can I add one thing?
Sure, go ahead.
So I commented earlier before the meeting started, I believe, that the lighting outside the City Hall is really very welcome and looks great, and so I'm glad that we've got it out there. It's much improvement and everything else, so especially in the middle of winter.
I think we actually had that up for the December meeting. But
Did we? And I didn't even notice it.
Because of all of our Christmas lights.
There we go.
But the decorations probably took precedence.
There you go.
They did.
But thank you. I know we've been
We had made
talking about it for a
arrangements for that
while.
a while ago, but it took a little while for the contractor to join us because they've been so busy this fall. Next item of business is the approval of minutes from our regular session of December 10th.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes as written. I'm sure somebody will find an error. December 10th.
I will second Adam's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Anybody have any questions or further discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Minutes are approved. Next item of business is city claims.
Okay. So we've got payroll for the month of $444,587.56, pensions of $14,473.03, direct accounts payable of $580,896.27, and regular accounts payable of just $100,989.55, for a grand total of $1,140,946.41. The direct accounts payable, we've got a park bond payment of $48,500. Our 2020 contributions to Beyond Homeless and Rural Transit at $10,000 and $15,000 respectively. Civil engineering and Foyt's contractors from redevelopment for $19,567 and $213,272 respectively. I think Foyt's is probably getting close to being over with on the winding down the Zinc Mill Road project.
That's all their payments, I believe.
Okay. We have an edit bond payment of $21,149 to First National Bank. McCullough, J.S. McCullough up in Bainbridge for tennis courts, tennis and pickleball courts, $191,873. First Financial Bank for a police loan. Is that for the station payment or is that for cars?
No, it's for vehicles.
Okay. For police vehicle loan payment of $12,798. And just regular accounts payable, utilities, insurance, what have you, make up the balance, which is about $48,737. On the regular accounts payable, AIM membership of $5,125 for, I assume, for 2021. We got $26,476 to Boyle Construction Management for our park pool improvement. $2,278, not much there, to Buckeye Power Sales. On here it says park, but on the claims it says police building repair. So I thought, which one is it? Buckeye.
I believe Buckeye would be the police. Is it say park then?
It says police here. It says park on this, my cheat sheet, as Lori calls it.
Okay. It's
police?
It was police. It was
Okay.
to check their generator.
Okay. All right. Good. So the actual claim itself is
Yeah,
correct.
that's correct.
And then we've got Northern Lights display for our really nice Christmas, the toppers on the lights there, for $7,068. Pretty tiny print. Those are all that I saw to comment on, and so I would move for the approval of the claims as presented, again for totaling $1,140,946.41. Sorry about
Be
that.
glad to second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. Are there any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, claims are approved. We have no old business. New business is primarily this evening is organizational matters and appointments. So
Did you need to abstain on the claims this month, Stacy, or were you okay?
No, I'm fine. We're done with the
she's okay.
contract. Yep.
I just didn't hear him ask, that's fine. Go ahead.
so the first item of business is election of council president.
I'd like to nominate Mark Cameron. He's already told me he wants to do it. I'm not throwing him under the
Glad to second it. I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to nominate Mark Palmer to serve the next year as council president. Any further nominations? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Well, thank you for your confidence, and look forward to serving another year, and let's hope that 2021 is a better year than 2020 was. That goes without saying.
Yes.
Next item of business is the date, time, and place for city council meetings. So I guess, does the council wish to continue with our current schedule of the second Thursday at 7 o'clock, obviously here at City Hall?
I would like to continue. I have it on my brain now. Yep.
I certainly would. I have planned my calendar
I do
around that
too.
expectation.
Okay, we can take that by acclamation, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let us stay.
I've already entered my Zoom calendar, so please don't change it.
Okay. Next item of business is for the council, 2 annual appointments to the Redevelopment Commission. The incumbents in that that served last year were Erica Gilmore and Lottie Barkus.
I make a motion that they both be reappointed?
I'll second the motion. And thank them for their service.
Yes.
I know they've put a lot of time in, and
We have a motion to reappoint the incumbents of Erica Gilmore and Lottie Barkus. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
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 Okay, they will be contacted about their reappointments. Next, and just for the benefit of the public, the Redevelopment Commission is an annual appointment by statute. The other 3 voting members are mayoral appointments, and those will be Drew Bratton, Gary Lemon, and Gwen Morris. And then Brian Cox is a non-voting member but represents the school board. And then the mayor has 2 appointments to the park commissioners, and one is required to be a Republican and one a Democrat under state statute to balance that committee. John Hannett announced the other day that he was not wishing to continue. He's got some great grandchildren that he's enjoying, and so I would appoint Pete Myers to be a member of the park board, and then Kathy Merrill is an incumbent, and she has agreed to serve another term.
Shouldn't make a note of at least thanking John for his...
Yes.
We did. He got
I'm just saying here tonight.
Yes, I agree.
Acknowledge-
18 years of service.
Yeah.
That was,
John's been very helpful on the
Yeah.
park board, and he still said, even though I'm not on the board, just call me at any time. I'll be happy to support your efforts. He's one of our, as Rod will tell you, he's one of our, because he's a pediatric dentist, he's one of our distribution sites for all of the park programs as part of our marketing program.
and he will continue to be, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I will, John is getting up in the years, but he just has grandchildren, not great-grandchildren yet, so.
Next is the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Do you need a vote on Pete Meyer?
No, it's a mayor.
No.
Mayoral
Oh, it's a
appointment.
mayoral appointment. Okay, that's great. That's a great choice, by the way, from my point of view.
I think, given his background in athletics, I think he'll be
Absolutely.
a great addition to the board and to service to the community. The next item is the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the council has one appointment to that for a 4-year term. The incumbent was Margaret Kenton, and by state statute, a person can only serve up to 2 terms on that board, and Margaret has served her 2 terms. Now, if I will say, I have an appointment to that board as well, and I'm still looking for somebody. We do have enough members to cover a February meeting, so if by chance we don't have somebody tonight, we do have a little extra time there, because as we talked earlier, this is one of our more difficult boards. But if you have somebody to...
When does it meet? Is it already met for January?
There was no meeting necessary in January. There's one item on the agenda for February, and we have enough to cover that.
Okay.
Bill, I'm sorry to correct you, but
Go
it's
ahead.
not, that's not a state statute requirement. That's an internal, that was the board made rules and
Oh,
procedure.
okay, my apologies.
That's the city of Greencastle.
Pardon? Yes, the city's board, about 10, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years ago, and set term limits.
Was that because there was high demand for the position? Or?
People were beating the door down trying to get on that board.
Ditsy was out there forever.
That's what it was.
Could I ask,
Maybe just throw her back on.
See if Jincy wants back on there.
Jake has a question.
with regard to the BZA, I know that there's like a 2-mile fringe around the city. Do
Yeah.
these folks have to be within city limits, or is the BZA, is there an exception
this position has to live in the city limits. The 2 Mile Fringe position is actually appointed by the Plan Commission from one of 2 members that are appointed by the county to represent the 2 Mile Fringe, and that's, that's how the arrangement is for that position.
Well, that being said, I actually have a list of a couple names that I'm trying to get in touch with. I'm not sure that I want to state them
that's fine, yeah.
now.
That really puts the pressure on them.
So I would actually, unless, I'm happy to make a motion to table this until a future meeting unless there are some actual names that have been, but I may have missed the boat, but I would like time to reach out to the 2 that I've been, unless there are names that.
And another good thing is that we found out, Lori found out a few years ago, was it can't be an elected official serving on there either. I got recruited because nobody else from the Plan Commission would do it. So I was on there, and then she found out that I couldn't be on there.
Mark, in the off chance we come up with more than one name, could we say, like tonight, just agree that they would submit like a bio or something?
Sure.
Would that work?
Do we not have, is this the one we have a vacancy to?
I have a position that I need to fill, and council has one that needs to be filled.
Okay.
So if by chance both the people you have in mind are interested, let me know who you want to propose, and I'll consider the other one.
I'm just saying if we happen to come up.
Well, and that's kind of to my earlier point. I mean, the expectation that I would have of them is to be willing to explain who they are and their background, and I'd be happy to communicate that.
They could write a short paragraph and explain.
Right.
Bill, I have someone else too that I'd like to talk to, so we may have a third name to throw in the mix. Yeah.
So
if anybody wants to sit down, and if any of them want to sit down and talk to me and with you there or not with you there or whatever, I'm happy to do so anytime and explain to them, and I'll try not to make it too bad, Adam, what it entails. I'll show them the zoning code and give just the basics of what zoning is all about.
Are you talking BZA also?
She's talking BZA.
Yeah, BZA.
I've got a couple of
I'm
people.
sorry, that's what I was talking about. I'm sorry.
Let you guys have a shot at it first.
Well, no, the more the merrier.
Yes. Well, I would make a motion to table, I don't know if that's the proper terminology, but a motion to table the appointments for BZA, the council appointment, until the February council meeting.
Lori, is that okay to wait till February, or do we have to do a special to get it done quicker?
We don't have anybody, do we?
Yeah, I was going to say. There's nobody to appoint, so.
If we did as long as you're okay waiting until February.
We've got the February meeting covered.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear.
And we can also, the BZA also allows, if there are conflicts of interest, which I think there might be in this case, to have alternates. And so I think we have an alternate too that we could use for this meeting that's coming up.
Okay. I'll second it then.
The hard part about BZAs is that if you have somebody who's involved in the community that's on your board and is on a lot of other boards, then they'll have conflicts. And like, for instance, an accountant who represents a lot of other people in the community would have conflicts, and or an attorney or a real estate agent or and so you just have to keep that in mind. So it's good to have some alternates then, because you do have circumstances where there are conflicts. And in some cases, if it involves DePauw and the high school in a project, then it could wipe out a good part of your board, and you wouldn't, if you didn't have the opportunity to have alternates, you wouldn't have anyone to vote on a petition.
Brian Cox is a good example. He's on there right now.
Right.
And as a chamber director, he has all kinds of conflicts and has to recuse himself all the time. So we want to find somebody who won't have conflicts with organizations or people.
Your people not know anybody else in town, they'd be perfect.
And Brian would like to be off the board.
Yeah, Brian's another one of my appointments, and we're working on maybe switching him into Plan Commission.
And not because he doesn't like it, but because of the conflict issue.
Yeah, he really enjoys it, but it is the
Actually, very
conflict.
good at it, but.
So we have a motion to table the Board of Zoning Appeals appointments. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. There's two appointments that council has to the Commission on Sustainability. These are not, these don't come up until actually May, but if there is an interest in filling these, one is to fill an unexpired term for Bob West, who resigned last year, and then the other, the current incumbent, is John Gardner, who is chair of the group, but his term doesn't actually end until May 30th, 2021.
Is John willing to continue?
John is willing to continue, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, John's really taken the commission kind of run with it.
I've been to a couple of their meetings. The commission, John is the commission in many ways.
It's one of our, we give the commission about $2,500 worth of edit dollars so they can do a few things, and I think they spent $240 last year. And it's kind of an informal group, but they do exchange a lot of information.
They brought us the farmer's market.
Yeah, they kind of oversee the farmer's market and the community garden.
Well, I'd like to see John continue because I think he does a really good job. He's a great guy, and
is that a motion?
I'd say that was a motion.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to nominate John Gardner for another term to the Sustainability Commission. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, please signify your approval by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? And then there's the unexpired term. Again, if there's not a nomination available tonight, there is some extra time to fill that one in the next couple of months.
How many people are on that commission? There's like 7.
There's a number, I think
Quite a
it's
few.
10 or 12.
Okay.
10,
Yeah.
I know somebody who might be interested. I will reach out to them and see if they'd be interested.
Sustainability?
We have a number of people who attend that aren't on it that, provide a lot of input and share information, so it's probably one of our most informal groups that works together.
And it's not controversial either.
Yeah, no.
Like the BZA.
You don't make too many enemies on it.
No.
Well, we'll keep that on the agenda for next couple months. And then lastly, is a position on the Human Relations Commission, and this is filled currently by Mary Foster, and I think Lori was going to reach out to her because we were trying to remember if she maybe got married the last year, so I apologize if I'm using the wrong name.
Mary Vance. She did get married.
Her term actually expires on June 30th, so again, it's another position that there's some time to
Yeah.
think about.
She did get married. Her name is Mary Vance.
Okay.
And I can talk to her and see if she has an interest in continuing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I think she
she's
brings
just
a
been-
lot to the group.
Yeah, when we formed this, we had various terms, and hers was just a one-year term, so I would assume and hope that she would want to continue to get her first full 3-year term. Is that right, 3-year term?
She would go back into the one, we set it up so that not everybody stepped on it the same.
Exactly. They were all staggered.
Yeah, so she, I guess, would go to a 3-year.
This will be a full 3-year term then. Okay, if you can do that.
I will
'Cause you
reach
work
out
with
to
her.
her. Yep.
All right, we'll hold that one until Stacy.
And that also has to be a city resident.
She is.
I know she is, but if anybody was
Yeah.
thinking of applying, they have to be city.
That's another rather large commission too, I believe.
Yeah, and
What has county,
It's not. It's actually not. And
Oh.
we only have 7, and we've had trouble with quorum the last couple of months, so we're going to look at maybe changing times or seeing what we can do
Okay.
about that.
yeah, it's large in your head because we allowed the trustees and the county commissioners, the school board to appoint in, but if they haven't, it's not that large.
Right.
Jake represents council on that.
Right.
Okay, next is council appointments. The Just kind of running down the list, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 appointments of council members to various boards. And so the first one on the list is the Development Center. And Stacy is the current council member serving in that regard.
I have been on that for 2 years. I would like to continue if the council would wish. It's a good group.
moved.
It's a
So
good part to
moved.
be part of. Yeah.
Dave said.
I said,
yeah.
so moved.
Second?
Are we making a motion on each one of these then?
If council wants to, or if you can do it, if you want to do it by acclamation, or...
Yeah.
Acclamation's fine by me.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay. Looks like Stacy will take on that responsibility. Then the next on the list is Commission on Sustainability, and Adam served last year on that.
I did that because no one else would take it. And they meet at 4 o'clock, which pretty much wipes
That's a
out.
good time for me. I'd be happy to switch with you on 911 with that, or
Sure, when does 911 meet?
they meet like every 3 months on a, I believe lately it's been a Tuesday evening.
Fine. After my OL experience, I'm all about it.
So that's the next one, so.
Okay.
Those meetings are a little dry, but you learn stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I learned so much about backup systems and redundancy for 911 this year. They're a great bunch of folks.
They are. My first OL meeting, they took me on a tour back into the 911 center, and it really is amazing.
Yeah.
Helmer took me back there, and I was just like stunned.
Then we have 2 boards that don't meet very often, and last year we didn't appoint anybody to them, or council didn't appoint anybody to them, is the Economic Development Commission, and the primary role of that commission is for industrial revenue bonds, and that hasn't been used as a financing mechanism in over 25 years here in the county, so we may, it's council's decision, but, it might be worthwhile just not to worry about that. And then there was no appointment to the cable access channel, and, that board hasn't really met either.
I was on that once. It was the best board to be on.
Never met.
Never met.
So, I mean, if council wants to leave those open
Adam's
for
really
the time
committed to
being.
his work in the city, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds good to me, Mr. Mayor. I like your plan on that.
I'm good with that too.
If by chance all of a sudden industrial revenue bonds become in vogue again, we'll appoint somebody, but they haven't been used in a long time.
We can recruit from the council at that time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then next is the Budget Committee, and, if you want to appoint the 3 members to that, that's fine, or if you want to wait until a little closer to budget time, so if people want to review their schedules and things like that, we won't.
I think we should wait a little closer until summer.
Mr. Mayor, having 1 year under my belt, I really appreciated being on that, and I'd certainly like to continue.
Sure.
As would I.
Best committee on the list here.
I would like, as long as you provide the snacks like you did in the past, Bill, I'd like to be on that one too again.
Okay.
So Cody, Dave, and Stacy?
I was on it last year, but I'm happy to do it again, but I'm also happy if a new member of council wants to do it.
I'd like to get in if there's an open spot
Well,
that Adam is.
It's a public meeting, so you're always welcome to attend anyway.
But Veronica...
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, Veronica, you can have my official slot,
Or as official as it is.
as official as it is, because anybody can go.
Well, is it a 3-person or a 4-person committee? Because
Well,
We try to limit to 3
one year
just
was
because of
3,
a
I think
quorum.
last year it was 4, and as,
Last year we had
It was never
everybody meet.
written. The committee came about as a oversight for a different issue, and then it just kind of evolved into this.
It's really, what has happened is, before it was just the clerk treasurer put the budget together, there was no discussion, there was not this, there was some things that had got oversighted. So with having more of the council involved and everybody understanding how it worked, it really I think it's become a great
too.
committee.
In the last
Plus
2
the
years,
council-
we've had so many challenges the last 2 or 3 years, so I think it's
And
yeah,
the
very
council
important.
really, I feel, our city council really understands how the budget works, and so it's been a real positive thing, and so we do advertise it. We just put it as budget committee meeting. People have zoomed in. We can probably still continue zooming in.
Yeah.
Everybody can show up if you can't come, but at least, if there's 3 people that are kind of the core.
Yeah, because with it being a public session, it doesn't matter that we have a quorum, because it's
Right.
advertised anyway and posted, so we can have 4, which we had last year.
Yeah, so,
So I think what happened was we got our 3, and somebody else said, I'd sure like to be on there. I said, fine.
yeah,
Cody
so,
wanted to join us last
Okay,
year.
okay,
Now that you say that, I remember that.
okay.
So I think if Veronica wants, it's open to, you can go if you want.
All 7 of us could be there.
Yeah.
Well, I would not personally need to be an official member of the committee, but I would say if we have 4 people willing to do it, let's go ahead and make that decision. And
Okay, so far I've got Cody, Stacy, Dave, and Veronica. Is that still correct? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
And then a new one for us is, as I mentioned in a previous email, the West Central Solid Waste District has gone from 3 counties to 2 counties. So by statute, the board changes, and previously I represented the city on that board, and then under the new arrangement, both myself and a member of council will represent Greencastle on that board.
When do they meet, Bill?
We usually meet quarterly, and it's usually about 9 o'clock in the morning, but the board is going to be different, so likely the time will stay the same, but it could change.
I mean, if somebody wants it, they can have it. I have the flexibility to do that at 9 in the morning. I know some people don't, so.
Right.
I have fair flexibility too, and I was actually just sort of interested in tapping into
Take it.
into what is discussed. So I was a little worried if it were maybe a monthly meeting or a bi-weekly, but it sounds like it's a little less frequent than that, so.
Sometimes there's an extra meeting around budget
Yep.
time, but for the most part, it just meets quarterly. And it's the primary responsibility of the board is to approve the budget every year, and then it goes to the county council for review. The big projects that the board does is like Tox Away Days, and then they do educational programs in the schools, and they run the recycling bins that are located in the smaller rural communities across the county.
And the yard waste site, too.
I'm sorry?
And the yard waste site.
Yeah, and the yard waste site, yeah.
Which-
Yeah, Mark's our accountant, actually.
Which county dropped out, Bill?
Montgomery County. They felt they could do it better on their own, but the odd thing is, well, they've kind of drawn down their cash balance, so, but when you withdraw, whatever money is in the bank stays with the district. It doesn't go back to the county. So the district has some money, but, it's somewhat limited.
Go ahead.
Park County is the other county involved.
Yeah, Park's the other one that's in with us.
Used to be Hendricks.
Yeah.
They dropped out several years ago.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay, anything else on that front?
That's all the boards and commissions to be appointed this year. The others that are represented, but these were multi-year appointments, so there was no appointment this year. Mark Hammer serves on the tree board. Tom Sutherland represents the council on the Animal Care and Control Board, and then Mark also serves on the Plant Commission. So those are multi-year appointments, so there's no appointment required this year. And then lastly is just department liaisons. The fire department, currently Cody is the liaison for the fire department. If he wants to continue, or if somebody else, or if council wants to play musical chairs with department liaisons.
I've been the department.
It's funny because I found that these liaison, labels are just that. They're just labels. I plan to make myself as available as possible as we start to hopefully reopen, in 2021 and can meet face to face again much more frequently. So I plan on meeting everybody. So you can stick me anywhere.
I would tend to share the same sentiments. I mean, I'm happy to stay with Parks and Recreation, and with Pete coming on board there, I think it'll be interesting to work with him and listen into some of his thoughts on the parks. So I'd enjoy that label, I guess.
I'd like to stay with Public Works. I've done the fire department before, and that's okay.
I'm fine with staying on cemetery, but I'd be delighted as well to switch with Adam on utilities if he's interested.
Sure.
Cemetery board meets once a month, Tuesday afternoons, 3.
Yeah, usually late in the afternoon.
Yeah, 3:30.
Cody, would you be interested in taking cemetery and I take fire? If not, that's okay.
They don't have to attend the meeting.
No, I don't.
I mean, you don't necessarily have to attend the board meetings. You just
Right, just be in touch.
stop in and talk to.
I'd be happy to.
Okay,
I just want to be fair to the boards,
yeah.
because that 4 to 6 slot is tough. I can do the 9 a.m.s and help people out,
So is Adam going to do the fire and Cody going to do the cemetery?
which is how I ended up doing the hearings. And if you need
When do
me
those
to,
board meetings take place?
He said he would
The
switch.
the cemetery board meets late in the afternoon once a month.
On Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I may or may not be able to make the meeting, but if I don't have to make
You
it,
don't necessarily have to attend the meeting, just keep in touch with the department head.
I'd be happy to talk to Ernie all the time.
Okay,
I think we have a beautiful cemetery.
okay. So Cody, do you want to stay with fire for another year?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. And Stacy, do you want to stay with police?
Happy to stay with police, yeah.
Okay. All right, so let me just run down. Cody with fire, Adam with the cemetery, Jake with parks, Stacy with police, Dave with public works, and Veronica with utilities. And then Mark, by virtue of his service on the plan commission, he gets to keep that up.
Pigeonholed.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
So that covers our business of the evening. Unless there's anything else somebody would like to bring up? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Who thought this meeting would have ever gone?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, thank you all very much. We will get an updated list out to folks, and everybody enjoy the rest of their evening.
Hey, Veronica,
Yes.
and